on blast.
This is You Killed It, the Challenge Podcast, episode 222. As Ricky Rose would say, 222.
We putting the 22s on?
Just off the rails already. Early. But we are here to talk the Challenge USA episode 7. My name is Shannon Alexander. As always, quick reminder, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, all that other fun stuff, regardless of wherever you're listening to this pod, because that's how you support us here, creating said content for your eardrums each and every week. You Killed It pod. You know, normally there's another dude that's on here with me. His name is John Chidley Hill. He's away, something to do with Greece. I don't know if he's auditioning for Greece or Greasy Spoon or a wedding in Greece, something to do with Greece. We talked about it at the end of last episode.
I also thought when he said Greece that he was talking about food.
Right?
More so because the CNE is starting, right? And they always have some great Canadian national exhibition. Mm-hmm. They always have some crazy food thing that happens every year, right?
True. It completely caught me off guard. And then the reminder was, oh no, like we've actually talked about him going to Greece and him being away. And thus we would need a co-host for this episode, and that the sultry sounds, the deep voice, the tones that you hear from my guy, a very special guest, friend of the show, but more importantly, real life brother from another, my dude, Mr. Lawrence Thomas. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. Thank you. That was quite the intro. That was great.
Well, listen. I know that, you know, you might have had some issues early on in the season of us discussing the pod, and we've discussed this on the pod, but, you know, longtime listeners will know, as someone who's referenced a lot as a friend of the show. Now, you know, people, you've been on a couple times before. I feel like, wait, you filled in. Oh, was it when I got COVID?
Yes. That was last time. That was the last time, I think, for sure.
I almost forgot about that. Like, I was trying to think when would that have been? And I'm like, oh, it would have been you and John, right? Because I'm thinking, when was the last time we would have done this? Right. I'm like, nope, I was not there. I could not talk. Yeah. Let's switch to more happy vibes.
Well, you know, I'll TMI the viewers that it's ironic that John is in Greece, because that is very special to the LT household. It's where we spent our first anniversary / honeymoon, and put a little LT in the oven. That's where Greece always brings back just like the entire experience, and it's like that's where the journey began. Just
connecting all the dots. All the dots. I love it.
No coincidences.
I love it. So we're here to talk about the challenge. And I mean, people know all the time when we start talking about the challenge, we veer off into way different topics and subjects and veering off the path. So I'm going to try to keep us on point here as much as possible, but I get the feeling that we'll struggle at certain points, but that's okay, because that's the nature of the show.
Oh yeah, but I know. Once we get to the elimination, because then we get into the questions. I'm already anticipating. The questions will lead to other questions and other answers.
Well, you know, since you're on here, I know you got a lot of thoughts on the challenge in general, because we always talk about it. We always enjoy the conversation and the back and forth. But since you're here, can you let myself and the viewers kind of know just what your thoughts are on the season of the challenge? Because I know the reason I'm asking this, because I know one of the things we talk about all the time is just old school challenge, new school challenge, this CBS thing, the watering down of the challenge, all that fun stuff. How are you enjoying this season so far?
I'm enjoying it. Overall, like it's a pass. Like, you know, I definitely miss some of the old guys and some of the vets, with the pros and cons. Like I miss their presence. At the same time, like everyone, when we're talking about like, you know, like Tyson, is he like, you know, trying to go out there and win every challenge and trying to just like dominate the entire competition, like, and how that's so like maybe not a good idea and all stuff, and not how it's traditionally played. And it's like I like that because as much as I love CT, and some of those, like, I didn't like that they didn't have to really play the entire game. You know, they got to sit back on their laurels. Like maybe they had to like do a little something early, like get a skull or whatever. But outside of that, they literally only played half the game. And so I'm here for Tyson trying to like just run the whole thing and win as much as he can and kind of like that's how you, to me, that's how you really prove yourself a champion. Like I know the challenge is different, and you know there's like a mental thing, and it is, you know, smarter, not harder, and the bananas way and all that stuff. At the same time, like not even get even more abstract. Like when you look at bananas, like when he's mad at Sarah, like Sarah wasn't even really trying to get rid of bananas. If we if we remember correctly, she was just protecting the layups so they get to go to the finals. Yeah. So like that was wild because I know because it came up the other day.
Yeah,
so I was like, yo, like she wasn't even trying to. She just didn't want to risk them going to elimination. Mm-hmm. He could have won and come back just fine. That was your fault. But you know, bad, steals her money, yada yada yada, so forth and so on. It's like, nah.
I like what you said there though about just how this season and just being able to give us sort of a different vibe of what the challenge has become. And, you know, as much as I enjoy the house and them chilling and drinking and partying and the hooking up and all that stuff, that's cool.
Miss that. I miss the sideshow. Like the sideshow was cool. Like
I miss that, but I will say I appreciate that this isn't trying to be that. Like I appreciate that this is just an hour, which, you know, once you fast forward commercials, like 40 minutes, it's just we're here straight to business, you know. Here are the teams. Here's, you know, kind of a setup of what just happened.
Right.
Here's the daily challenge. Here's who we're going to throw into elimination. Here's the elimination. Boom, we're going home. Like, I appreciate that nature of it, going back to just, you know, back to basics in terms of what the show, you know, in its first iteration, you know, kind of was. Right. I appreciate all that other stuff. I want that other stuff. But that's kind of why it ends up being more than an hour. So I'd rather it be this way than them still trying to make it be an hour and a half and 2 hours with these people that aren't as entertaining or don't really, you know, I don't want to hear about Leo's cats for an extra like 20 minutes. You know, we'll get there. But before we get to this episode as well, one thing we always try to do as well is read the comments, because we enjoy when people write in and give us their takes on what's been going on. So it's another reason why. Like, follow, subscribe, give us your comments, because we want to read them on each and every pod. Huge shouts to Diane. Diane sent me a nice message saying just happy belated birthday. Appreciate that shout out, Diane. Dana says some background info on Shannon. She stated on a podcast she never expected to get on the show. She and her boyfriend were alternates and thought they were just going to get to chill in Argentina for 2 weeks, then go home. But the day before filming started, they told her she had 30 minutes to pack and join the rest of the cast at the compound. If she had known she was definitely on the cast, Shannon said she would have definitely trained harder and done her research and watched everyone's previous shows. Regarding the elimination, it was Derek's idea to stack high while Shannon stacked low. Shannon is 5'1" and had difficulty getting the tires off the extremely tall poles, and the game rules wouldn't allow Derek to help her. He admitted it was a bad strategy in hindsight. I mean, Shannon, we talked about that a lot, right? Like I said that she was happy to be here vibes.
Yeah, and now we know why.
Yeah, and I get that. I totally understand that.
Who do we think that she replaced? I mean, I'm curious now. Like,
I don't know. I wonder what happened. I wonder if we're still in like COVID protocols. If someone was sent home because of that, like who knows, right?
I mean, that wasn't last week's elimination. Like, because I was a big Derek fan as well. Like, I thought he played for those that watched last year's Big Brother, he played a really good game, and he was the only one that was getting really close to discovering the cookout. Yeah. So I was expecting. I thought he was going to do really well, and more so that not even that they got eliminated, but that it was a mental error that like for him to like just to fall like how. To see over and start stacking more level. Yeah. That's what because I didn't think he would make that kind of mistake. So yeah, I think that was like a huge thing where they're trying to stack the tires and it's just like,
it's what I love about this competition in terms of adding a different element to it. Like it's a reminder that you look at the thing that makes a challenge is you look at either the dailies or the elimination and you think that it's all about one aspect, but really there's so many other things that go into it.
Yeah.
Strategy, endurance, right? Like strength, all of those things added together.
Yes.
Which I mean, this past elimination is kind of the same thing, but you have so many things that you have to deal with that it's not just, you know, the big, huge muscle head or the, you know, cardio beast that's going to be able to win it all because you're adding in so many different elements. So yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah, especially in this season where they're all partnered eliminations. So part of me misses some of the that haven't been particularly physical.
We're gonna get. We'll get to
I know to keep teasing. I know to keep teasing. I'm just saying, you know, overall,
I got some thoughts on that. Some thoughts on that for sure.
Okay.
A couple more comments here. So Atlanta says David wasn't eliminated on his first night in All Stars. That was his original season. He made it pretty far in All Stars.
Yes.
Hey, I always say it all the time. Huge shouts to people calling in to correct us. Calling in, like, what is this? The radio? What am I doing here? Writing in to correct us. Hey, all for that. Not claiming to be on here and be experts. And also having you on, I know we talked about it here, you being big on Big Brother last season. So that also helps us here because I didn't watch the season of Big Brother. So any added context, I'm here for.
Yeah. I remember hearing that and kind of like last one, I was like, no, it was like, yeah, his first season went home. And that was like one of the big twists that they actually sent someone home the first night. Yeah. And I was that's why All Stars was a bit of a redemption for him because he actually played like he doesn't really. It's almost like this like watching him now, like he doesn't really stand out. Yeah. And for him a lot of times like his mistakes stand out more than his successes.
Yes. Yeah. I gotcha.
But there's something else in there I was gonna say I lost it, but
no worries.
But yeah, no, it's been good, and I think the only thing I'm missing is that I feel like this cast itself is very like it's been hard to find like lines in the episodes and all that stuff, and I think I don't know if it's just a personality thing. They I think
I have a thought on that. What I think is happening, right, is that the challenge is such a different show.
Yes.
And, you know, being on Big Brother or being on Amazing Race, being on Survivor, those shows are structured in such a different way where the challenge, there is a lot of producering, the made up term that we talk about all the time, where you're just creating content, right? It's up to the people in the house to create certain drama or conversations or like, hey, we're going to play a prank on this person, or we're going to do what, like, there's so many, you know, there's a blank canvas, so to speak, with the challenge where there's room for that type of creativity or to create your character or build up your character or, you know, become Josh and become like a character that is going to be on a lot of seasons because you just create drama. Right. Whereas that person doesn't really exist on like a Big Brother, or you won't last long in most instances. I know Josh won Big Brother, but
we know why. We know.
But in most instances, right, like those scenarios don't really arise where there's a whole different, you know, landscape or character development that's created that has nothing to do with the show, right? That has nothing to do with how well you're doing in the challenges. So that part's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think because they've kept it like, you know, it's straight basic competition now. Like I think I was just expecting more from the confessionals and the asides and that stuff. And like I felt that because because they have those on Big Brother and Survivor and stuff, and that I was like, that's where you expect kind of the like lines of the episodes come from. Like you'll just talking, chatting, but like that's even been a struggle this time. So I don't know why, but I don't know.
Yeah. And I think maybe they cut a lot out. Like that's where you get back to it only being 40 some odd minutes or whatever.
Right.
Let me just race through a couple more here. So Speaking the Truth 96 says, because we talked about Ben and Sarah and what their relationship was. I remember I asked in prior episodes, I was asking people to let us know more on that. And so Speaking the Truth 96 writes in and says, so to make the Ben Sarah thing less weird, It wasn't just about him giving up his shot at winning it. It was more so about him wanting to avoid getting dragged by the jury at the final three. He basically gave her the better shot at winning since he knew he had zero chance of winning over the jury. Also, I get that this episode wasn't that good, but Justine messing up Cynical added drama to the elimination, and Tyson literally contradicted himself with the speech to everyone, only to say in confessional, quote, "I'll burn my entire game for revenge." I will say though, my early thoughts, I know a bunch of things there. The Sarah Ben thing, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I like that strategy. If you're honest with yourself that you know, like, oh, the jury's not voting for me, why not put on your other people's? I get that. I like that. The Cynical, like, what was your reaction to?
First off, I like in the autocorrect world that we live in now, I would struggle in any spelling challenge. And so like even trying to do, because I was trying to play along, and like that going forwards is a struggle, going backwards I would. And so for to get all the way to S and it was like or C and say S, I felt bad, but it was a struggle. It's like, oh, you're so close. You're so close. Like, you're like the easiest one.
And I'll get to Tyson in a sec because it kind of ties into the last comment I'm going to read from Sarah. Sarah writes in on IG, and Sarah says, "Hey, just caught up on your last pod. Your discussion about throwing Tyson in made me think there seems to be a flaw with this new version. In the flagship version of the challenge, eliminations tend to favor bigger and stronger competitors, while the final favors people with more endurance, but who might be slighter, smaller. So there was always a way to even out the playing field. So far, feels like the current eliminations haven't been designed that way. So to throw someone like Tyson in is a way bigger risk than if there was something like Hall Brawl or even pole wrestle. Do you think this is way better or worse?" That's kind of what you were talking about earlier, right? Yeah. Like the one-on-one challenges, which I think are coming, because I feel like I've seen in like a coming up on there's Hall Brawl, right?
The twist that they've teased at the end of this is that maybe we're done with teams.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which I always feel is always a thing that happens as soon as, and it happened a little bit in this episode, as soon as people start planning ahead for who their partners are.
Yes.
No more partners.
Yeah, I like it.
Like it happened. I feel like it happened. It's a constant kind of go-to. As soon as they start showing people really like, oh, like I want to get partnered with this, and like they really get into it, and you know it's been a few weeks, and you get to that point.
Yeah,
that's when they pull the rug, and you get the it's, you know, you're one-on-one now or whatever. But
which is a challenge way, right? As soon as you think you know what's going on, boom, they're going to switch it up on you.
Yeah, but I think the challenges have been, the eliminations have definitely been, well, because they're partnered and they're co-ed too. So they weren't going to get, I feel like we weren't going to get the stuff that we're used to yet, just based on the format of the show versus the CBS version of the show as well. Like I think they would be roughly around the same kind of thing, even OG wise, given that it's partners and so maybe a little bit more physical, but.
And also too, like the interesting part on the normal challenge, what you would see a lot is it'd be a men's elimination or a women's elimination. And then you'd go in and that also adds a different twist to what's going on as well too. But yeah, I think like we'll see the more physical eliminations coming up, but I also wonder if, and I have no idea, but I wonder what this finale will be like. Will it be like the traditional finales that we've seen in the past, which will be like nothing that any of these people have done on other shows, right? Like the finale of the challenge is not like Big Brother or Survivor or Amazing Race or whatever, right? So I'm interested to see how that plays out too. That to me could be a huge twist. But I want to segue, as you talked about partners and how that whole thing has worked. We start off every episode, we find out who the new groups are, and we on this pod will talk about which groups or which partnerships sort of stood out to you right away, just on first impression. Was there a partnership that you're like, oh, this is in trouble, or that's a really good team?
I mean, except for obviously the putting Sarah and Tyson together.
Genius.
Yeah, outside that, and but at the same time, like just like yeah, like, it's like, oh, how is this gonna work?
Yeah.
And also they're a strong team, so it's like it just like, okay, like, will they win together? Will they lose together? Something really, outside of that, there wasn't much. I did like that, and they kind of mentioned it. We're now getting to, I think you guys talked about last week. We're now getting to a point where it's like not everyone's happy for their partners and stuff like that. Which actually I'll say is I'm gonna say right now that I think it's actually my line of the episode was right off the top.
Okay.
And that it was no line. It was Alyssa's face when she got Leo.
Yes.
that
was really good.
That's my line. Like that was my line of the episode. Like the disdain and just not happy expression she had. Like it wasn't like there wasn't even like a little kindness or like what, like, let me play it off or whatever. No, it was straight.
She couldn't even pretend. She couldn't even pretend. And when she tried to pretend in her confessional, she still couldn't even hold that up, which was amazing. I thought that was funny and very ironic as we know how this episode plays out, which we'll get to. But I want to stick with Tyson and Sarah for a little bit here because I just thought it was very interesting because I find that like it was just perfect reality TV match made because they're both like one in the same. Like they should be friends. They should be on the same side.
Yes.
But they're too much alike, right? They're both feeling themselves a little too much. They both think they're the shit. They completely, I love that right when Sarah thinks, okay, we have Tyson in a position where we can try to get him out, boom, you're partnered with them. I just think that's perfect. They should be able to be aligned, but instead we get this whole dynamic of Tyson, Angela, and Kyland.
Right.
And that right there showed me that one of these three were going home. And that's just reading too much into how these episodes are put together. But right away, I was just kind of like,
at least
they're having the chat about they're having the chat talking about, oh, we each have the most money and, how should we play this game going forward? And I was like, should one of these three be worried here? And I didn't know who it was. I thought it probably should be Angela more.
Right.
But I also thought that, Tyson had Angela's back more. Like Tyson and Angela are more of crew than Kyland, right? Kyland was just kind of like jumping in, trying to jump on their wave.
Yes.
But which conversation sort of stuck out more to you? Was it the Tyson, Angela, and Kyland, or the one that followed with Sarah and Tyson, where they're both basically trying to convince each other, yeah, we're cool. We're cool.
Okay. We're gonna be okay. I think the Kyland Angela this one, just because I didn't realize Kyland has kind of slid in with them.
Remember that was his play when he took out his boy. Was it Xavier?
Yeah.
Right? And
I didn't realize. I guess it's been a few weeks and I forgot. But so that was kind of like new information. Whereas the Tyson Sarah it's like at least now you're just watching that to see, are they like how much animosity like they have on the surface, right? Because are they gonna say they're gonna play nice, or it's gonna be like, yo, man, I'll just see you when we get there. Like I'll sit on the back of the bus. I'll see you when we get there, right? So, and I mean, obviously, I think one of those things where it's like, does Sarah really want to risk coming? Like, does she want to go back into elimination? She does still need money.
That's a tough part. And we'll get to that full on discussion because it is a difficult decision. And I will say, on first thought, I was like, no, you don't want to volunteer to go into elimination. You don't ever want to do that. But we'll get there. We get this very interesting conversation of Leo and his girlfriend. Right. And I think I want to kind of stretch out on this a little, right? Because there's a lot of interesting things going on here. So first off, not going to lie, I'm about transparency on this pod. And when it first popped up, Leo's girlfriend, I was like, oh, okay, Leo, good job. Wasn't expecting that, but bravo, Leo. Okay. But she asks, how are you? And this is my line of the episode, but it's a backwards line of the episode because I'm actually making fun of him here. He simply asks like, how are you? How are you doing? And he says, quote, I'm good. I just sleep all day like a cat. And she doesn't even acknowledge it. She doesn't even like miss a beat. I don't get why he said that. Like, is that supposed to be something that she's in on the cat joke? Like, I didn't understand it at all. It wasn't funny. It served no purpose other than to continuously show that my guy's a loser. And I was just like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just being, hey, I'm keeping it, hey, about transparency here, right? Just giving my real takes in real time. I'm sorry. Stop talking about being a cat. Like, what? Nobody cares. It's not funny. It's not a good bit.
No.
It serves no purpose. And even if your girl popped up and she was kind of like, you know, in on this cat thing with you.
Yeah.
There's a whole tangent that I could go on right now, but I know it's way too left field because like it's way too out there. So, you know, screw it. So there's a pod called The Pivot, and there's a clip going around. It's hosted by Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor.
Okay.
They had Kevin Hart on, and the clip went viral a couple days ago, maybe a week ago, of Channing Crowder explaining to Kevin Hart that he and his wife go to nudist colonies. Right.
Okay.
And Kevin Hart's reaction to it is just incredible. Anyways, the reason I bring this up is because Channing continues to tell the story about just the stuff that he and his wife are into. And he's talking about how like they'll role play sometimes and he'll play a cat and she'll play like an old cat lady. That's their like role playing thing. Right? And I just watched that this morning. So it's in my head. My thought was, okay, see how I'm bringing this all together. So my thought was, if my guy Leo's girl came on and they had some kind of cat vibes going on, hey, I'm not judging people. However you get down is how you get down. Whatever works for you, more power to you, right? If my guy's girl came on and she was on, you know, Channing Crowder's girls vibe, like where they role play and they do that type of thing. He's talking about how she feeds them milk and stuff. Like it's a whole thing. And Kevin Hart's reaction to this was just incredible, by the way.
Of course.
He's like, why are you telling me this? But sorry, I'll rein it back in. LT. I swear I'll rein it back in.
No. I was just gonna say that like, even if she was in on the joke, even this was a thing that they had, she ain't have time for that with what she was calling about.
True. Like, very true. And you're right about that. She had a mission on this. And at first I was like, oh, is she being serious? I thought this was just a joke, but then they're arguing about the business struggling and she's talking about how she needs them and the business is falling apart. And I guess he owns a bunch of bars or restaurants or something.
He said he had three. And basically she's saying that all the things that he does, no one else could do. So like it sounded like, you know, he's like the fix guy, especially like when it comes to like IT and making sure the cash machines are working and all that stuff. Yeah. So it sounds like he was that guy. And also, of course, as soon as you leave, it all stops working.
Well, his whole remedy for this is, so you want me to leave? You want me to leave? And I thought he was joking. And then they cut to him actually packing his bags and he's about to leave. Were you buying that?
I thought it was possible because it did sound like it sounded, the girlfriend sounded like they were at this like kind of like critical juncture. And I feel like it happened later in the episode that he actually mentioned that he says, I don't know if it was when he was packing up or if it was much later. I'm trying to remember, but that he mentions that he lost $43,000 over the weekend.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if I get the call that basically that this thing's falling apart and it costs like $40,000, I'm probably packing up my stuff and seriously considering leaving. So I think it was real. At the same time, I'm like, I'm not sure why he stayed for it's like sure you can win. Like it's a gamble. So it's like I feel like the way it sounded like every day they're losing money. So it's like,
so
I don't know.
I wondered about it, right? Because I'm always cynical.
Right. Of course.
See what we did there? Yes. Shouts to Justine. But I wasn't really buying it because I kind of thought, okay, well, Leo of anyone else on the show so far has done the most to try to be a part of the story.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see that his girlfriend seemed to be that mad. It kind of just seemed weird. Like I was watching it thinking, wait, what's actually happening here? Like I couldn't tell if they were doing a bit, if they were being serious.
Right.
But packing your stuff up to leave and then just abruptly being like, okay, well, I guess I'll stay. Like that whole thing is just more of building drama. Like I could see him being the guy that wants to be valued, like, and appreciate being begged to stay. No, please don't go. We need you, blah, blah, blah. Like I could see him buying into that. But also, let's break this down more practically. Okay. So you lose 43 grand because of a mistake with credit cards. Cool. I get it. Loss of money. Cool.
Right.
But what are you going to do from home that you can't do from where you're at with technology, with the computer, with the cell phone? Like you're going to just call the credit card company. You're going to email whoever. You're going to, like, all of these things you can do. If you went to the producers and you're like, hey, this is what's going on back home, it's an emergency, can I just use a computer for an hour to try to figure this out? They're going to let you do it. They can forward you transaction statements, receipts, all that stuff. They can, it's 2022, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you really going to do, at home that you can't just do over the phone or on a computer, right? Like that's the part that I was kind of like, okay, what are we really talking about here? Or maybe it's somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be the extreme of what I'm talking about to like, they just made the whole thing up. Maybe they embellished it, made it seem a little, and maybe
or like a potential loss of 40,000. They haven't actually lost the money yet.
But also, if you lost $43,000 and it's all credit card stuff, like that's all documented. You call the credit card company and you have all the receipts, you have all the information, you can figure all that out, right? Like you going home is not solved. Like you don't need to go home to have like the physical receipt, right? But anyways, maybe it's just me not buying him and the cat stuff. And if someone else had this story, I'd be like,
oh yeah, pack your bags and go.
I'd believe it. But yeah, he ends up staying. Alyssa, obviously in a good move for her, because she's like, I don't know what's going to happen. If he just leaves, maybe that means I'm off too, because who knows? And for people who might not be familiar with the challenge, we've seen this happen before, but there's no like direct answer to what's next. We've seen scenarios where one partner has to go home because of a family emergency or because a fight happened or whatever. And we've seen instances where the partner also has to leave too. We've also seen the instance where they have a backup on standby waiting to jump in. So maybe, I don't know where Shannon's boyfriend is, if he's still chilling in Argentina or not, right? Maybe he's on standby. And if
maybe you assume that that essentially they had a woman on standby, which would have been Shannon, and there might have been a male. So that would have slid into a spot. But without them saying, then without knowing for sure that you might be sinking your partner's game. It's a tough spot.
And if you're Alyssa, you have no idea. So I think she did a good job in trying to get him to stay, trying to like talk him off the ledge, so to speak. So that was really good, which led us to the daily challenge, recreational driving. I'm not mad at this play on words here. I'm not mad on that.
No, it's definitely one. It's definitely one of their better ones. At least they didn't have to explain it. Like you see, like, okay, cool. Like, get it.
Fair enough, right?
They've been struggling this year. Like, again, I don't know if it's the CBS thing, but like,
I'm blaming CBS.
But like, how hard is it to have decent names and puns?
Sometimes you're just trying too hard, man. Sometimes you're just trying too hard. But yeah, essentially, so everyone, you're with your partner, you're in a car. Your car has 4 like huge inflatable balls attached to it on the back. You're driving around and it's kind of like bumper cars, but you basically want to have your balls remain intact and not have them get hit or burst or get knocked off or blow up, whatever. And the team that is last team standing, you end up winning. Now, the twist is that, and this was a great twist, because I feel like this challenge without the blindfold is still a pretty good challenge.
It'll be fun. Yeah, it's still fun to watch.
Right? But now you add in the fact that the driver is blindfolded and the passenger has to direct the traffic. I thought that was pretty great because, again, it's another example of how the challenge works, where they just add in another level of teamwork, right? Another element of, okay, well, this is about communication and how well you can work with the partner. What did you think of this challenge?
I first, like, especially once it got going, it was another great example of not being able, like someone like Tyson, not being able to rely on just being a physical dominance, or even if you're good at all the things, like quizzes, whatever. It's just like, no, like we're driving cars today. So like, best of luck to you, right? Like, demolition derbies they're always fun. That's something like if I ever had the chance to just be in a demolition derby, like that type of thing, that like put it on the list. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I liked it. It was fun. It definitely, the communication issues and who's listening to, who knows their left from right when they're hearing it. Like,
I mean, that was super dangerous though, right? Like, you can't control someone being able to, like, especially when they had the collisions.
Yes.
People are like you could get T-boned so hard. Like, that was a difficult challenge that could have gone like super the wrong way. No, I thought it was cool. It was cool. Yeah. It was one of the better challenges this season. I'll say that too.
Yeah, I mean, those cars, like they're made to, do that. So like I will say, as a blindfolded driver, you can't brace for anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like so like, the partner, when they're gonna hit the wall or another car, they know what's coming. Whereas like as a driver, like you're every bump, everything, you're just like, you have no idea. So that would be hard. Like you're almost like scared to drive. Okay.
And again, too, to further your point, I think this one was so much dependent on how you worked well with your partner. Very. And, the decision of who gets to drive and who's not driving, who's the better communicator, who's the better listener. Like all of those things matter. And I thought it was super funny, the montage they had of going through all the partners talking to each other at the beginning and like kind of joking around. And then it cuts to Sarah and Tyson and they're just silent. It was so good.
Like this is a business partnership only. Mm-hmm. There's no need to chit chat. like just go and we'll do the best we can.
This is a straight Toronto reference, but is very much Norm Powell trying to shake Kawhi's hand, and Kawhi's just like pointing straight. He's just like, no, let's go. Like,
let's go.
It's go time. Yeah. But also I thought it was interesting that Tyson was a passenger because he kind of alluded to the fact that he doesn't need to win. He just has to not lose.
Good point.
So I thought it was very interesting that he was the passenger, because obviously you dictate where the driver is going. So you can make your team not necessarily win and not necessarily lose, which is very interesting. And I don't know, we didn't get the confessional to see how hard he was trying per se, but they finished middle. I feel like they finished fourth. I wrote that down. I found that interesting. It was funny, and you mentioned this, to see who doesn't know their left and rights. And Cachet, I mean, I know you're not going to make her drive, because I feel like that would just be a gong show as well. But her just yelling at one point, and maybe I should have made this the line of the episode, because like you're yelling at someone who's driving blindfolded and she's just yelling, turn the wheel, turn the wheel. What? How are you yelling, turn the wheel? Like, what do you mean? I can't see. Which way do you want me to turn the wheel? It was so good. It was so good. She's been, as much as I know it comes off as I might be crushing her throughout, and a lot of that is based off of watching that season of Love Island. Okay. She's been very funny on the season of The Challenge, just for comic relief. Yes. Just like very good. She's funny in the challenges, funny, like, in the confessionals. I've appreciated having her around for this long because it's just hilarious. Turn the wheel is so good.
And for someone who you thought was like had the high potential of going home early, she's done very well.
Survived. Hey, part of the job is surviving, for sure.
Exactly.
Leo and Alyssa were doing well to start. It seemed like they were doing well until they were not. They crashed into the dirt hill.
Yes.
And then they appeared to be stuck. Leo's trying to reverse. He can't get out. And then they just get rammed from behind, which just like ended their day. Yeah. They're out straight to the elimination. And I thought that was interesting because soon after, it was Angela and Enzo who, when we went back to the beginning and we were talking, I thought Angela and Enzo might be in trouble because Enzo hasn't really performed well this season at all. No. And we know Angela's a beast. She's really good, but you're really only as good as your partner. Yeah. And they crashed early. Kyra and Kyland also crashed early. As it played out, anything else that stood out to you in this daily challenge?
I mean, it was interesting, like the that basically no one actually eliminated like all 4 balls of anyone, I don't think, right? Like
at the very end. Yeah. At the very end, it came down to Justine and Danny versus Kayla and Dom. Yeah. And Justine and Danny, something was actually wrong with their car.
I was saying, they couldn't really drive. I was saying, like, did they actually get all 4 balls, or did
no? So their car was moving. Their car was moving, so they let it continue. Problem was, it wasn't moving at full speed.
No.
So Kayla and Dom, who are very good at communicating, Kayla, the times when they showed her, she was very calm, but she was direct with her instructions, right? In terms of rights, lefts, go faster, slower, reverse, whatever. Yeah. And so once Danny and Justine's car was stalling, Kayla was just like, okay, now reverse, left, boom, hit them again. So they ended up eliminating all 4 of their balls, and Kayla and Dom end up winning. And right away, Angela's rattled about Dom winning because her partner was Enzo for 1, but Angela threw in Dom earlier on. And that leads to this whole deliberation segment of the episode where there's a lot of different options for Dom. Dom found himself in trouble multiple weeks in a row, but now he's in a position of power. And last week we talked about, what do you do with said power? Do you try to make big moves? Is it still too early? If you're not one of the main players in terms of, Tyson, Sarah, Ben, Kyland, and Angela, right? Like, are you trying to involve yourself in that whole drama, or do you just play it from the sidelines? And I thought I thought Dom and Kayla, they wanted the smoke. Like they were coming in just like, no, we're going to make a big move here. Do you agree with that strategy, or were you for more so what happened last week where the team that won, who was it? Was it Desi and I'm going to get it wrong, but they basically stayed out of the smoke. They basically just said, you know what? It was David and Desi, right? David and Desi won.
Yeah.
They were basically like, no, we're going to stay out of this. We're just going to throw in an quote unquote easy team and let them sort it out amongst themselves. Not getting involved in any of this Tyson, Sarah, Ben, etc. drama.
Right.
Which way would LT lean if you had said power, my friend?
I'm definitely staying away from Tyson and Sarah like that. Because I mean, I think the biggest factor is looking at who came last. So it's Leo and Alyssa. So you're like, I'm like, if I'm gonna shoot the shot, do I think like who do I think they could possibly beat, right? Like,
yes.
And it's one of those. So like right off the bat, like there's probably no chance you put in Tyson and Sarah. Like odds are whatever's as much as it hasn't been super physical and all that type of stuff. Like you're playing the odds, and odds are those 2 versus those 2. They're probably going to come back. But rather play it safe. Like I think if I think I could shoot the shot and make it, then I'm going to go for it. I'm kind of like split in the middle. Like is like I want to make a big move, but if I really don't believe I can get him out, like that this pair is going to get the job done, then he played safe.
For me, I think it's like, if I'm not one of those top people, I'm now swing vote. So I'm not playing my cards that early to like show which side I'm on. I'm not showing which side, and that's maybe where the CT thing comes up, where you brought that up before, right? Yeah. Like if I don't have to show my cards, I'm not going to, because how does that benefit you, right? And Kayla's been sort of doing the most, you know what I mean? Like she's been on both sides, adding herself into the drama. If you remember, she was the one that went to Tyson and told Tyson that Ben and Sarah were kind of looking at you and gunning for you. Yeah. And then last week kind of flipped on that and like was going against Tyson. So she's just trying to stir up drama on all sides, which I get. But you know me, I don't like the people that are doing too much. Never like that.
Yeah, I guess because she's also playing like, not say like a scared game, but she knows she doesn't have like I get that's the Amazing Race, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that she don't have a lot of backup. So she just got like, has to like, find some way to
put the target on someone else.
Exactly. Because she's an easy mark, because she has, you know, if she goes home, no one's gonna be upset about it.
Yeah. And this is a good point too that you made earlier about what the challenge represents, because if you showed me the teams early on, like right when they picked the teams, and I would have said Kayla and Dom were probably one of the weakest teams, but because of what the daily challenge was, didn't matter. And they end up being the winners. And now you have Dom, who I think made a great move in the deliberation where he asked Leo, okay, how serious are you about staying?
Right.
Which I thought was a very, very good question to ask, because you don't want to shoot your shot. Like, imagine you shoot your shot, put in this super hard.
And this guy's like, yo, I'm out. Like, I'm not really trying. And I'm losing. I'm like, every second I'm here, it's costing me money back home.
Yeah. Right. Like, imagine that you put in whoever, Angela, and then Angela comes back and she's gunning for you now. Right.
Yeah.
And your boy Enzo, who's your boy. But if you put in your boy and Angela and they win and come back, now you're really screwed. So I thought that was a really good move by Dom, and a surprising move by Dom, because I haven't been the biggest Dom fan.
I'll say it was a bit of a comeback
this season.
It was same here. It was a bit of a comeback week for Dom. Like he definitely fought it out as best he could. He wasn't completely obsessed with the idea of revenge. I'd say, like, at the same time, he knew that, like, hey, I'd say, like, these are the people who I know aren't going to save me because they already put me in.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I can't really trust them. Right. Like, but it was more about that than the idea of revenge. It was about getting out a strong player that already threw me in. Yeah.
And I think also knowing too that what's happening now as of late, where the teams that are losing, normally they come into deliberation and you're trying to ask them, hey, who do you want to go against? Yeah. But recently we've seen teams not answer that at all.
Exactly.
They're not saying that, which I found very interesting. An interesting strategy that seems to be staying so far. But an interesting.
Someone brought up the, like, watch the last, I guess was it last season, the last OG season, or maybe one before, where they had the big deliberations and everyone, they set them up every time. Who do you want to go against? And you know, and so many people fell into that trap. Like, maybe someone brought it up along the ways, like, don't say anything, because it just ends up being, you just end up they end up using it against you regardless of whatever happens.
Yeah. The conversation though, the real deliberation is between Kayla and Dom. Right. Because it seems like they both want to make a big move, and it seems like they were going to go towards Angela.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting because Kayla obviously would want her out because Angela is competition for her, right? And Angela's probably the consensus top, like, strongest female competitor in the house. So I could see why Kayla wants her out. Dom would also want revenge on Angela because Angela threw him in, but also she's partnered with his boy Enzo.
Right.
So the flip side of this though is, if I'm Dom, I could get partnered with Angela again in a daily.
Exactly.
So I don't think I would want her to be eliminated. So I thought that was a very interesting dynamic. And I thought the way that they cut the episode together, it seemed as if Kayla was going to get her way and, you know, coerce Dom into throwing in Angela and Enzo.
Right.
But so I thought that was the real possibility. I want to ask you this question though. Did you ever buy this whole focus of Sarah and Tyson and Sarah possibly just asking to go in? Like, they showed that conversation.
Yes.
So they brought it up as a possibility, but would that actually be, we teased it earlier, so let's talk about it now. Would that actually be a good move for Sarah to say, hey, let's go in to the elimination?
No, like as much as it's not like you only win money from the eliminations. You could win money on the daily, right? Like as much as eliminations do build your bank and stuff, and at the same time, they only build it with depending on who you go against too, right?
Yeah.
That's why she still needs to go, because last week she only got $1,000, I think, or whatever it was. Like, she's still under the $5,000, even though she went to an elimination and came back. So yeah, no, I get that she's thinking about it. At the same time, there's still a good amount of game to play, and you could win money. You literally just need to win one daily usually give or take, especially where she is right now. She needs just one daily win, and she's fine, and she'll have multiple opportunities for that. So like I think she might have been hitting the panic button a little too soon.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have to, like, I did rewind back when they showed the board. I was looking at like some of those like low numbers, like Desi. Is it Desi? No. Football player. Is it Desi? Who's a
football player?
Yeah.
No. Danny.
Yeah, like I think he's still sitting at like $1,000, like, you know what I mean, and so there is someone's gonna have to do it. They're gonna be worried, but Sarah I think she was a little panicked, but I'm sure someone said, hey, you can still win dailies.
Yeah, and I find it super interesting, just this whole narrative for Sarah, because you can still be going for the money without the alternative being you going home.
Exactly.
Right? Like that doesn't have to be the alternative here. Yeah. And she, I understand the thought process that you're partnered with Tyson and he's probably, the consensus number one overall pick. So you have like the best possible partner going into said elimination against the perceived to be weak team. But again, the way that the challenge works out, you don't know what you're going to be competing against them in. You have no idea what you're going to be competing against them in. Yeah. And so that's very interesting because, at the end of the day, if we skip ahead, do you think that Tyson and Sarah would have been able to beat Alyssa and Leo in that competition? I mean, because I don't know, but it would be a lot closer than you would have thought it would be, because they would be going in thinking like, oh yeah, this is a layup. We can definitely beat them. Yeah. And then Tyson's trying to lift Sarah up on his back. Like,
I think because he is very tall, so he doesn't have to stand straight up. Like I think they would have struggled on the trivia. I think that's where that's where they go down.
And their communication would have been bad because they both think they're the smartest person in the room. Yeah.
But I could definitely see that. I think Sarah doesn't struggle so much to get the medicine balls up, and Tyson is pretty tall, so you're gaining inches there. So I think they do all that. I think trivia. I think if they had done it, the trivia would have been their downfall.
It would have been super interesting though, right? Like them going in being like, oh no, we got this.
Got it.
Right. And also too, like Sarah's whole point about going in with Tyson, you're getting the best Tyson because he's fighting for his life.
Exactly.
So I get it, but no, you don't. No. We talk about this all the time. Do not put yourself into elimination
until you absolutely have to. Like, and there's definitely enough people in the house. Like TJ's not gonna show up tomorrow and be like, oh, you're all gone. Like it's final time. You're all gone.
Exactly. And also like ride it out a little.
Yeah.
Ride it out, because there's going to be opportunities for more twists and turns. So as you just said, until you absolutely know that you have to, don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. The biggest conversation that I wasn't expecting yet was the Kylin conversation and him and Dom. And I think Kyland handles this well, right? Because he basically says, well, me and my partner are pretty confident that we would come back. This is kind of the Sarah angle, isn't it? Right? You'd be pretty confident that you'd come back. But by not putting me in, we kind of looked at this in a position where we can build on our relationship going forward.
Yeah.
I actually thought he handled that pretty well. But as it turns out, I didn't handle it well enough.
I mean, I think again, given what Dom and Kyla want to do, Kayla want to do, there wasn't, given what they want to do, it was a short list. So I think you're right. You did do it well. At the same time, given the other two options that they were looking at, like I think you did well. But I think at the end of the day, it's like you're the best choice.
Yeah, and I thought I was kind of stunned because I thought the way they were setting us up, they're setting us up that it was going to be Dom who would be the one making the emotional move over the right gameplay move.
Yeah.
But basically it turns out to be Kayla making the emotional move because she says she didn't want it. She put Kylan in because he didn't talk to her. Like she thought this would be her chance to talk game with him because he's talked game with everyone else.
Right.
But he didn't talk to her. And so that's why she wanted to put him in. And I'm kind of like, That wasn't the right gameplay move for you, right? Because he's a good competitor, so you could have been partnered with him coming up.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure. I don't remember if they've been partners already, which maybe they have. I don't know. But, he could be a partner for you. But also, too, like, I thought that Enzo and Angela were the worst. Like, there's a lesser chance of them coming back.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, maybe that could be wrong because Enzo probably could have lifted up Angela pretty easily, I would assume. Maybe I'm making that. No, Enzo's bad back, right? Enzo has a bad back.
Does he have a bad back? Yeah, I mean,
I think that's a thing.
Either way, but he's also like shorter and like I think he's like physically just a much smaller person than Angela.
Okay. She would be, but I feel like she would be okay with the medicine ball. She would beast mode that side of it.
Yeah.
I wonder how do you remember how she did on like trivia and that? I don't remember.
I do not remember. Right? I do not put it outside the realm of possibility that Enzo gets on her back. Like I'm like he's small. He's not a big guy. Yeah. He's not a big guy. So if there's ever going to be that assumed gender reversal, yeah, I think it was probably most likely done.
Yeah. I mean, this ended up working out great for Dom, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
The actual elimination, ball and chain. There's a huge wall in the middle.
Yes.
And at the top of the wall, there's a trivia question. You have to lift up one of your partners to reveal said trivia question. Mm-hmm. And the answer would correspond with a number that's on a ball and chain that's wrapped up that you have to untangle around the net and then get the right ball and chain in the right answer at the top of the wall.
Right.
The ball, by the way, is a 20-pound medicine ball.
Yes.
Which adds more drama to this, as again, you have to lift your partner up so that they can place the medicine ball above the correct answer.
Yeah.
First team to complete all the correct answers wins. I wrote down, and we normally like to do this, who do you think was going to win before it started? And I thought Kyland and Kyra would win.
Yeah.
I thought too that the reason I thought that was because I thought Kyland has shown that he's a good physical competitor. So I didn't think he would gas out or anything, but also I feel like he was a good communicator. And we saw that, like, he worked well with Kira, where I think that if Kira was partnered with someone else who maybe wasn't as encouraging at certain points, she might have gotten a little more frustrated. But I thought Kylan did a really good job of being a good partner. They kind of bounced ideas off each other in terms of what the right answers were and all that. But I thought that was going to be the key. But I got to admit, I slept on Leo. I'll be honest. Leo did a really good job of being a good partner.
Yep.
Of all the same things I just said about Kylan, Leo did the same, right? He was a good partner. He was encouraging Alyssa a lot, which is funny because Alyssa spent the whole beginning of the episode
just slander. Just straight, yeah, it's true.
Straight slandering my guy. And Leo did work, right? Yeah. Like, he did a good job. And this is the second elimination now that Leo's done a really good job in terms of, because same thing happened when he was with Sarah, right? Yeah. Sarah spent the whole episode slandering him.
Yeah.
I mean, deservedly so, because she did have to piggyback my guy through water.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. It's weird how that's worked out for him. Like, in sense of, like, he has looked terrible, and a lot of the slander is well earned, and then these eliminations are like end up being great for him.
Do you know who he's proving to be? He's proving to be like the Bill Simmons coined this, irrational confidence guy, the like Eddie House or like Mario Chalmers dude. You know, the like Pat Bev. It's like the guy that thinks he's way better than he actually is.
Right.
But he can come in and give you a heat check and like get you like 3 quick threes and then talk mad ish to the crowd. He's like throwing up, you know, like out of nowhere. And it's like, where did that come from? But if you play him a little too long, then you're like, okay, yeah, your time's up. Back to the bench. You know, like, he's not the high level of that, because I think like J.R. Smith's probably like the highest level of that. But he's probably like a lower tier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I give him credit, though. He did a really good job in this. And yes, Alyssa is a lot. I feel like Alyssa would have been a great partner to have in this because she's probably one of the lighter competitors that you would have to hold up, but Leo's not much bigger than Alyssa. Right?
I thought their total height was going to be a problem. I definitely thought like when you look at Kylan and Kyra, it looked like they were going to be. I was surprised Kylan went the route of just trying to lift her, as opposed to like, yo, stand on my back, stand on my shoulders.
Yeah. But she couldn't do it though.
Yeah, no.
Her problem was she couldn't lift the medicine ball.
But he attempted like the first few attempts. He just tried to like just lift her at the waist, and I was like, I don't know.
You ain't that strong, bro.
Yeah. Also, you gotta get her high. Like use your height. Like right. Like get her high. High in the back. Like maybe stand on my shoulders.
And then what happened though? He copied what Leo was doing, right? And then they found the success. Yeah. But ultimately, LTZ, this came down to the ability to get the answers correct.
It did.
Because Kyland and Kyra, and first off, can I say I'm very happy that Kyland, Kyra, Kayla, like all of that is like mad confusing all the time.
It is.
But I will say this came down to Kyland and Kyra. Mm-hmm. They finished first. Yep. They just had the wrong answers.
Yeah.
And it really came down to it came down to how many marriages had Madonna had.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, what allowed Leo to come back was their knowledge, which I know you would have been just laughing all the way. Like when this came up, I got to admit that right away, I'm like, oh, LT, you'd be laughing, giggling the whole way. Because the question in question was how many studio albums does Adele have?
Yeah.
And I know my guy LT is a huge music fan, but a huge Adele fan at that. And so you just would have been laughing while they're struggling to get that one. How quickly were you just screaming the correct answer at the TV?
I'm not quite as confident as you were in me. But I was within one. I knew it was either 3 or 4, and I was trying to remember. I was trying to think of if I was combining kind of like
a double album or something like that.
No, like the big singles. Like you're like, okay, this single on this album, this single was on this album. And I wasn't sure if I was combining them. Mm-hmm. I was also trying to remember because she names all her albums after her age. That's what I was trying to remember. Like the first one was definitely like 19, and I think it was like 21. And I was trying that, but I would have been, but at the same time, when they're like up at like 6 and 8, I'm like, oh, you guys are out to lunch. I'm like, yo,
that's a lot.
I don't know where you've been for the last 10 years, but Adele don't do that.
But also how many big time artists have 8 albums? Do you know, like that's not a thing that happens anymore, right?
Not really. No.
That's like Beyonce, Taylor Swift. Does Taylor Swift have that many albums?
She might be around 6, right? The ones who are going like every other year or like every year, they would be up there by now. Taylor Swift is a good one. Beyonce is a good one. Think of that.
But I'm saying like that's more of an old school thing of people who have like super long careers. Yes. Adele hasn't been around that long. And the other part, okay, let me rephrase that. If she has been around that long, she's still from the old school in which I'm not releasing an album. Like I'm not just here to release an album for the sake of releasing an album.
No.
Right? I'm going to take my time. I go into the lab, right? And I come out with bangers.
And she also had health. She had health issues with her voice too. Really? So that's more time. And I was like, but yeah, I was like, it's 3 or 4. Like guaranteed, I was just flipping that.
Yeah. So the trivia questions were interesting, but you get to bounce that off your partner. So you can bounce that off each other. And Kylan and Kira really dropped the ball, for lack of a better term.
Well played.
I know I'm terrible. I'm mad at myself for that one, but it was right there.
It's okay.
But they really fumbled the bag in the sense that they were wrong and then second guessed one of their other answers, and that really messed them up.
But that was also wrong. So because they're like, okay, it was like they had 2 wrong. Like essentially they processed.
Oh no, I thought they had 1 wrong, and then in trying to switch that one, they were like, okay, well let's switch it back and switch this one too, and then they gave themselves 2 wrong.
Because it was how many stumps does Cal have? And I feel like,
but I thought they had that one right at first.
Did they have it?
But then they thought that
was wrong.
They thought that it was wrong because.
Right.
Sorry. Let me go over this again.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I thought they had 2 balls in question. right? They had two trivia answers in question.
Right.
And at first they had the wrong answer up for the stomach one, the cow's stomach.
Right.
But then they realized it and they're like, no, I'm pretty sure it's this one. Let's just change it.
Yeah.
So before they finished the whole thing, they changed it and moved that one and then got the correct one for the cow's stomach. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But then their wrong answer was Madonna's marriage.
Yes.
And then they tried to switch it back. So then after they took that one down, they put that one back on the cow and swapped out the cow, even though the cow was already right. But they didn't know that.
I thought they were, well, the problem is, first off.
No, but I'm saying, no. Hold on. But I'm saying, like, at that point, now they're both wrong.
Now they're both wrong.
Right? Instead, they had one wrong, but then they tried to like, oh no, maybe this one too. And then they gave themselves both wrong.
I thought it was the other, because I mean, that's where it got confusing because obviously they're not telling them and
exactly,
and we don't know. So I thought they had they had both wrong at the start and got the cow right, and then we're stuck on the Madonna.
Yeah.
And they never gave us the answer.
That part is true. And that's what I was about to say. I was like, what was the question? How many stomachs does a cow have?
Yeah.
Well, we can Google that.
Yeah. I was like,
let's see. How many?
I should give you time. I will say,
the cow has 4 stomachs. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So they had the 4 up.
I thought they went 6 first. Was it 4 first?
No. So they had the 4 up. No. So what I think happened,
right, if
I'm not mistaken, is they had the 4 up on, like, they had the 6 up on the cow at first.
Yes.
And then they were gonna put the 4 on Madonna, right? But then at the last second, remember, she falls down and they pull the ball down by accident.
Yes.
That's when he was like, you know what? I think that's a sign we should just switch it. And they put the 4 up on the cow.
Right.
So then the cow was right. And then they put whatever number up on Madonna. I don't even remember. And then that was wrong. So they get the Madonna wrong. And then they're like, they tried again and it was wrong. And they're like, okay, well, maybe it's 4. So let's take that down.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm pretty sure happened. But I could be wrong, and someone's going to correct us, and that's all good because that's why we're here.
Well, I was young.
Fumbled the bag.
Yeah, I was young because I thought this was a straight like CBS question.
Ooh,
because
good point.
Because like either way, like Madonna's marriage's reference, like this is a 25-year-old question here. Like what are we doing? And it was
I also have no idea how many times
I knew it was a trap question. There was one I was like, because like everyone thinks of Madonna and they have these relationship names, but I was pretty confident that she's only been married like twice, maximum 3 times. So like everyone was looking up, like everyone's thinking that, oh, it's gonna be like 4 and 6 and all of a sudden, like no, Madonna, like her name was linked and dated, like, and had like, you know, these celebrity dating relationships and all that stuff. But I think in the end she was only married. I looked up after too. I was like, oh yes, Guy Ritchie. Yeah.
You're right. You're totally right.
Yeah, but if you think about if that's an MTV question, it's how many marriages does Kim Kardashian have? Like like J-Lo, like we're going back to Madonna here. What we doing? What's going on?
You're totally right about that. You're totally right about that. And to further your point, the pop question being about Adele would have been like Taylor Swift, right? Like how many albums does Taylor Swift have?
Exactly.
Right. You're totally right.
You're not wrong. At the same time, Adele is only 30 and quite popular.
True, but I'm saying like I'm more speaking towards her target audience.
I know.
But overall, that was a super hard elimination. I think that was a really good one.
It was a great balance of doing, like, being physical, having a little endurance. You have to be like, you know, strong, get the balls up, and then you have to like just know some randomness.
Yeah.
You know, like,
what do you think would have been the harder job? The person holding up the person on their shoulders, or the person that has to lift the ball up and put it on the top?
I think lifting the ball, because you also have to balance and I agree with that. The chain, like, I don't think it was 20 pounds total. Is good. That the chain has weight too. Good point. Very good point. So if and like notoriously, it's one of those things that comes up, you know, when you have these physical things is when you have something where you're relying on upper body strength with, like particularly like women. So that's like usually not a forte per se, like versus just being a sturdy bottom. So they definitely had the harder physical job, but I knew it was as soon as the questions start coming, I'm like, it's so gonna be these questions. Like this is all that matters now. Like if you get them right on your first go, whoever gets it right on the first try wins that, which neither one of them did.
Yeah, and I mean, super great elimination. I think maybe one of the best eliminations in terms of like what the competition was that we've seen so far, and add that into the daily challenge. I think this was a really good episode.
Yeah,
in terms of combining how good I thought the daily challenge was and how good the elimination was. Whoever, and this is going me in the producer bag here, whoever was in charge of this episode, bravo to that producer, because I think they did a really good job in coming up with what the challenge was and what the elimination was. Great job. I thought it was really good and the best of the season in combination, for sure. In combination, I think it was the best so far.
Yeah, and it definitely highlighted one of the great things of the challenge is you can't rely on any one skill, and you never know when they're going to throw you something where all your skill just goes out the window. Yeah. Right. And this was an episode that definitely showed like, hey, like, it didn't matter fast, strong, like even smart. Like smart and pop culture trivia are two different things,
completely different things,
right?
Yeah.
So like the daily challenge was, hey, you're driving, nothing mattered, right? And then in the elimination, they could have, like, even if Kyra and Kyland were able to like just beast up these balls and go, you still had to get the trivia right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring up like with Kyland, I always got big Russell Wilson vibes from Kyland. Like he's good, but he's also kind of a nerd, kind of like trying to does a little too much, just like little like some corny things here and that. So
thinks he's that dude, he's that dude. Yeah. That's fair.
But it's also actually pretty good. So like yes, right? Like
I got you. No, that's a great comp. It's a great comp. I like that. Won a chip, but it wasn't necessarily his fault.
Right.
Like he was partnered with, wasn't he partnered with Angela when he won the daily challenge? I feel like that was the thing. Him and Angela were partners, right?
Yeah, it was a Hangman.
Angela, very comparable to the Legion of Boom defense of the Seattle Seahawks.
Right. Yeah.
I got you. Okay, I like it. But yeah, we said goodbye to Kylan and Kyra. Right. They are gone. I guess that leads me to, we talked about our lines of the episode. Well, I guess we should talk about the twist. There's a twist at the end.
Yes.
Right. So the team that stays, the surprise, which I don't know how that's going to happen now. Is Leo just here? Is he going to ride it out? I guess we'll find out what happens next episode.
This man is hemorrhaging money.
Right?
like if this is even if it was exaggerated, this guy is banking his entire future.
And so he like calls his girlfriend and he's like, I know we lost 43,000, but I think I won 3. That I might not even get to keep. If I get eliminated next week. And she's just like, what?
And it was 42,000. It's now 62. Like,
oh, it's so funny.
In the bar business, like if you're missing like Friday, Saturday nights, oh my God.
So the twist at the end is the algorithm is dead. We end on a cliffhanger. We don't know what the plot twist is going to be, but my assumption, much like yours, we alluded, is that do we just think it's going to be them playing as individuals?
That is the one I would put money on. Okay. The other random thing I threw out there, I was thinking was like, what if they just do a random week of you get to pick your own teams?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. But given the choice of the two, I think we're going individual, but I'd hedge my bet with the pick your own teams.
I should look this up, but also I kind of like the suspense of not knowing. I guess it depends on how long the season is going to be, because if it's going to be a long season and now you're playing as individuals, you can go back to the, men's versus women's each and week and just kind of, rotate it that way as individuals, I guess. But that would take a little longer.
And also, like how many people you're putting into the final too, right?
Also true.
It seems like we're eliminating the doubles because it's been 2 people going home every week. I think we're basically halfway already.
Yeah.
Like even just look at the board, right? They said half the names on the money board was gone.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I like it so far. Great bounce back episode. I thought this episode was pretty good, like in terms of just entertaining challenges and, drama in terms of picking who's going to go in and who's not. Yeah. Kayla continues to do the most, and I think she's doing well. But my question to you, Mr. Lawrence Thomas, who killed it in this episode?
Who killed it? It was a hard one, but I think it was tossed between.
There's no sitting on the fence.
I know. But, like I was thinking about because I basically like I almost want to say Leo. Like I think that's the answer. Like he went through. He kind of went through it. Like he was that close to going home. He's at the very least he's worried about what's going on at home. Mm-hmm. He's still getting slandered by everyone. Like no one trusts and all that. And but at the same time, when all the chips are down, this guy shows up, or the challenge gods bless him with something that he could do. It's I was gonna say Alyssa, but she did kill the man for the entire episode, so you can't like if she talked him into staying like that because I think she talked him into staying and then they won. Mm-hmm. So I was about to give it, but I'm like no, but she did. She she had the face right off the top and all that stuff. I was actually gonna give Leo the when he was trying to go all gladiator as line of the episode, and I was like the only reason I was like he's like there's like 10,000 Spartans. I'm like wrong movie, man. That was in Greece. That's where John is right now. Those 10,000 Romans. You're in the Colosseum. Come on. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Again, my guy just keeps saying that he's a cat. So I got you. My MVP and who killed it for me in this episode was actually a man's Dom.
Now you know what? He was on the list.
He just had a bounce back episode. I've been pretty hard on Dom because I don't think he's done very well this season. He hasn't really shown up in a lot of instances. He almost was eliminated a couple. First off, I didn't like his energy where he was just dissing the Love Island girls when they ended up saving him in multiple eliminations. Go back to, remember, was he partnered with Cache? Was it Cache or Kira when he was standing on the pipe? On the pipe, and he's just standing watching her. Yeah. And he's supposed to block it, and he's not doing anything. It's just
was so close.
It was so bad, right? Like it was so terrible. So he hasn't had a really good season. Yeah. But in this episode, where my guy now has an opportunity, we don't really think he has a good partner, like in terms of them being a good partnership. Kayla, I think, is a good competitor, but you're not really saying that they're going to be a top tier team.
She's very middle of the road. She's very
Agreed. And then he goes out and wins. And he said himself, he's like, we drove, like he was a driver, driving blindfolded. And they mentioned he just drove the whole time. They didn't stop. They didn't crash. They didn't do anything, right? Like he was just moving the whole time other than when they like hit other people's balls, right? And then they reversed and they were out and he was all good. Got to give my guy a lot of credit for that. But also, I'm giving him a lot of credit for how this played out and not going after Angela and Enzo, his boy. I think it was a way better move for him to get Kyland out and Kira out for him personally, as opposed to if he were to get out his boy Enzo and Angela, who could have been his partner coming up. Getting out Kyland, who was one of the top dudes in the house, is way better for him. So adding that all together, that's why he killed it. He's my MVP of the episode.
I completely agree. Like I definitely considered it. I will say I meant to say it before when we're talking about the challenges. I'm pretty sure they in their confessionals they actually use the same word too. Like they both said they were that she was concise. I think they both said it right. So so they were very much on a wave together for their daily. So those are all great. Dom is definitely would probably be my actual number 2. And yeah, no, he had a great, and he kept his head. He wasn't emotionally, like he kept his head. He really thought out what you want, like the best way to use the time, the power that he had.
Yeah, definitely agree. And, I might have messed up in my line of the episode, but I will make the name of this episode Turn the Wheel. Turn the wheel, like Cache. That's amazing. It's so good. Turn the wheel. That's what
I want to go back now. Like I want to give her credit for, like, she said left at first, and maybe just turned it like gently, and it's just like turn the wheel, but maybe not.
I feel like the way that I remember it, and at least it'll be more comical for our purposes, is turn the wheel, then turn it right. It's like, okay. I thought that was incredible, but Mr. LT, Mr. Lawrence Thomas, thank you so much for coming on. Where can the people find you online, on social medias? If you want to give out your social medias, why
not?
With the community to talk about the challenge, get your thoughts on what's going on this season. We'll try to get you on again at some point throughout the season with John. We'll do a little tripod,
a little
3-box.
Little 3-box.
We could figure that out at some point.
I was saying, when you talk about going into the comments, that's what I was gonna say before. Is I'm waiting for the live. You killed it.
that's always like a best case scenario. Would want to do that, but it's just trying to get our schedules to work. Wednesday nights, it's tough enough getting our schedules together just to do this. Period.
I just want to see it happen once. Do you know
what? There's got to be some point when we do it when it's a big enough episode or something. Like a big finale or something like that. Yeah, maybe finale episode, something like that. That would work. That would make sense. Live stream it.
Yeah, no. But the good people can find me if they care to look. Both Instagram and Twitter are at LTZ or LTZ, depending where you are. LTZ29. Twitter is mostly sports, because it's a lot of Jays, lots of like what's going on here.
Tough
that
times right now for the Jays.
You got a big win yesterday. Big win.
True. Big win. Maybe it was your vibes of being there in the building in person. Spurring on George Springer around the base.
The stripling with the perfect game through 5. That was huge. But and then Instagram is just me and the fam, the LT3. Living life. So, but you'll find me out there. I definitely welcome all the comments, all the slander. I hope y'all enjoyed me subbing in today, and hopefully we get to do it again.
Of course, my dude. It was a pleasure to have you on, and of course, shouts to the people listening and watching to the pod wherever you happen to listen. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Shell Alexander, on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Continue, please, to send in your comments and questions wherever you want to view this pod. If you're watching it on YouTube, enjoying our smiling faces, bless us with the like, bless us with your comments there. We read those comments on the air. We try to every episode. Appreciate that. LT, sorry, I saw you raise your hand.
Well, when are you gonna buy out the dude that has the other Sheldon Alexander, like, so you can have him the same? You got to find this guy.
Oh, like on Twitter, you mean?
Yeah, whichever way you want to go.
You know what it was? I think on Twitter, like either it wasn't available or it was too many letters. Something. There's a reason why I couldn't do it in the very beginning. I don't remember why. I don't know. It's a good question.
I was just like someone has the name I wanted to use, and
in like 2011, I can't remember 2011 or 2012 what the reasoning was. I feel like it might have been space. I feel like it might have been too many letters, but I don't know. Can't remember. But great point.
Sorry.
Thanks again, my dude, for stopping by. Greatly appreciate you. Greatly appreciate the people listening. And again, hope you enjoyed this episode of You Killed It. You Killed It.